Welcome to SEO Conspiracy.com.
Oh, lifting it up at the end. Nice rhythm, nice flow. That was a good one. Love it. Hello, Judith.
Hello.
You are in very good shape because we are talking about naughty things today, about bad neighborhoods and
very bad
yes.
neighborhood. Bad.
Does Google treat bad differently than the
I'm
angels?
going to want to see that I listen to SEOconspiracy.com as my porn again in my Twitter feed after this one.
Yes.
This is a requirement. I want people to tweet and say, yeah, it's my porn.
Thank you, people, for the feedback, because you remember that she's the one who invented the G-Spot SEO, because everything in life is about sex, except sex.
Except sex, which is about power.
Exactly. So SEO is also about sex. It's also about seduction. It's also about how you can seduce those algorithms and
people. You have to first seduce the algorithm, then you have to seduce the searcher. You have to make them want you more than the others.
And it's like you're in a big nightclub. All those beautiful girls.
How are you going to stand out?
All those beautiful boys, depending on what you're into, or both. And how are you going to make that? How are you going to go home with that girl? Here's the question. But
or that guy.
Now, remember, I don't even know if it's still on the official Google guidelines, but there was this famous sentence back then which said, don't get links, don't hang out, don't stay away from quote unquote bad neighborhoods.
So there are two types of bad neighborhoods, really, when you think about it. There's the bad neighborhood of hosting, and then there's the bad neighborhood of links. And they're two different things.
What do you mean by hosting?
So a bad neighborhood of hosting is when you have a lot of questionable websites that are all hosted at the same IP or a very close IP, so a neighbor IP. And those websites were once thought to taint your website because you were associated with the same IP. So let's say there are 50 low quality spammy porn sites and then your cookie company. The theory was that your cookie company would never rank very well because the other 50 porn sites, which you may not know about because you're on shared hosting, are bad. And in that, it creates a bad neighborhood of the IP or the IPs around it in the case of hosting, and that would suppress the rankings of a website. That's a bad neighborhood.
Well, the problem with that theory is I was, again, just my personal experience. I had on dedicated servers bad neighborhood porn and so on, and also very clean stuff. Never really had a problem because they weren't linked together. There were no linked. So the IP, so now to what level does, because on a shared hosting, it's like thousands of websites.
Yeah, so I think on shared hosting, the issue would not necessarily have been that the other websites, mind you, this was probably an issue back in the day, you know, like in the 2010s to 2012s or maybe up to 15s. But nowadays it will be a speed issue. So if you're on shared hosting and it's not fast because you've got 375 other porn sites that are being hammered hard 24/7, then your site may not be as reactive. And it may not necessarily be your fault. Again, it might be the fault of physics, or it might just be the fault of the fact that you've got throttled data going through. So you're not actually able to serve Google what it needs because your data's throttled.
But the bad neighborhood might also
You
be...
also have links that are bad neighborhoods. So when you get irrelevant or like not necessarily connected links to your site.
But are you just limiting to this topic is not related to that topic? Or are you, because I was thinking, okay, gambling, Viagra, porn, that's bad neighborhood. So do you don't want links from this website?
They can be bad neighborhoods, but if you're a site about erectile dysfunction, you might want a link from Viagra because it would make you an authority. Because if you are Pfizer and you have the official recognized website about Viagra, and you then link out to a site about erectile dysfunction, I 1,000,000% want that link because that will increase the EAT of that linked to site just amazingly. But if I have a spammy, crappy porn site that I've seen too many of lately, like, you know, those really crappy ones where it's got like pseudo model pictures on it and they're like, hi, I'm 16 and I want to model for a big magazine when I grow up. Hire me today. Yeah, right. So if you've got a lot of those auto-generated pages that have a variety of these models' photos and maybe a smattering of news popping up all over the place, and then you get a link from those, that's a bad neighborhood. That's not where you want to be getting a link from.
Okay, so the myth is that there isn't a bad neighborhood. It's just you got to be in the right neighborhood.
Well, it would not be a myth that there are bad neighborhoods because there are, although they change over time. So bad neighborhoods will evolve and they'll ebb and flow. Because people change hosting, people move hosts.
No,
so maybe you didn't know.
Sorry. I was. Let me rephrase. When I'm talking about the bad neighborhood thing, is about the topicality, about the fact that supposedly, because the problem with that myth is if a link is not doing any good, supposedly it's not doing any wrong. So the myth that it's going to hurt you to get links from gambling websites or porn website will hurt. And it's the basic SEO tactic, negative SEO tactic.
Yeah, so it works to a certain extent, negative SEO, but it doesn't work the way it used to.
That technique doesn't work anymore.
It's not cheap to do negative SEO, but theoretically you could do it. You could do it by getting what looks like authority pursued links for exact match anchor text to money terms. You could do that plus spammy link building, and that could equal a penalty, or at the very minimum, suppression.
I don't know if I should say it. I know
you could. Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I? You could do it because you push all the right buttons and you make it look legitimate. You make it look like, I don't know. Eminem Meets is trying to get links.
I have the technique and I have the tactic. Nobody has the balls to do it. Nobody is hard enough.
Maybe someone listening to this.
But if you want the best negative SEO tactic, it's so simple, but so ballsy that you won't do it. You need to find a very high PageRank page. I used to play in SEO contest. So we would build like PageRank 7 or 8. You build a link towards a page, and 3 months later, you remove the link. The page will not recover. It will not. because it's such a powerful link that you remove, and they don't have. Again, I'm not talking about the domain level. I'm talking about negative SEO is performed on the page level, and removing a very powerful link is very complicated to recover from that, because you need to balance back out what you just lost. Otherwise, Dark SEO team was my search engine hacker team back in the early 2000s when we were playing with Matt Cutts, and we found flaws that are still not fixed, especially around duplicate content.
Yeah, there are interesting, there are flaws in certain areas of the way that things are calculated and the way that things are looked up that are not yet fixed, that are worrying. So I'm not going to say anything about them here, because you could damage large or small. And if you damage small, then you ruin someone's livelihood. But those holes have not been fixed.
Hold on. Let's stay on, because you got holes, you got small, you got big, damage. Let's dive into details.
No, we really shouldn't, because if someone listening to this decides to just for shits and giggles. So over the weekend, a friend of mine had their Instagram account hacked. Now, it was her own fault. She did something stupid, but then it took them 3 or 4 days to regain control of the account. And during that time, she was really distressed because it was a lot of work. So I don't want to just casually give the script kiddies fodder for fucking someone up by screwing with things.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that you are supposed to be in good shape for G-Spot SEO.
Oh, that's true. This isn't very sexy.
Yeah, this is not sexy at all. You're talking about holes. You're talking about small holes, big holes, damaging holes.
Well, small holes and big holes are good for penetration.
Yes.
We just have to be very careful and use protection.
Exactly. Please,
if you want to get a link from a porn site, there should be nothing that hurts you from it.
Get your sexiness back into the mix, because why so serious?
I don't know. Maybe it was the stir fry I had for lunch had serious vegetables in it.
If you want to plug, okay, guys, if I
want to plug you, you're going to get plugged. I am going to tie you down and plug you.
There are no
on Clubhouse or something like that.
What's very complicated? It's the same in sex and whatever practice or whatever you want, how far you want to go into the exploration of your limits. It's how do you look at yourself in the mirror? You don't care about the rest of the world. But the problem we have as SEOs is, and I always say, guys, nobody knows we exist, and we dominate Google, which dominates the world. So it's pretty powerful. We can do a lot of damage. We can do a lot of good.
It's true.
Not everybody has the same moral compass. But at the end of the day, we are, of course, some SEOs have no mercy, and you always mention the real black hats, the hackers, okay? They don't care. They steal money. They just gangsters, okay?
Yep.
Now, generally speaking, I guess we're fairly lucky that the dream sellers, let's call them that way, except for a couple like Neil Patel, Brian Dean, and this duo, and maybe a couple more. Usually, those dream sellers are hidden in a corner of the web. They're not too visible. And we are lucky that amongst the highly visible people, you pretty much have, even on the Black Hat SEO side, people who don't want to damage the web too much, because you can well, first of all, not damage the word is the word is the wrong word. They don't want to act in a way that is well, not legally appropriate.
Yes, that's true.
And
They want to keep it legal,
and maybe not hurt people. That's still so it
which is an
puts
important element,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. You don't want to hurt anyone, whether in sex or in life or in business. Hurting people is bad.
Don't do
Unless they ask for it, but that's different. That's kink. So don't hurt people against their will.
So you don't want, the rule is you don't want something done to you that you wouldn't do to anybody else. Yeah. However, like you said, if I'm asking for it, you might not want it done for you. So, but you might want to do it to someone else because that person is asking for it.
There are so many times I would love to have done it to someone else without being asked, because they were begging for it. Really, whether they realized it or not, they were begging.
But you're a big tease, so that's different.
But I'm also at my heart a good person, so I don't punish the unwary despite the justifications.
You're a tease because well, let's see, no, we can't go, we don't see much below the, but if you ever have the chance to come,
I'm a tease because you know what's on underneath this and no one else does.
If you ever come to a dressed up event, like a Search Award type of event, one will be bad, and you can't miss her. It's just
it's because of all the glow sticks in my hair.
Yeah, just the glow sticks in your hair. That's what makes the
I try to recreate some Frida Kahlo pictures with glow sticks instead of the Spanish headdress.
No. She feels a lot of things in very little space. Let's put it this way.
That's true. I was once thanked for the view.
Imagine that. You have to give out an award, so you have to go on stage in front of people, and well, nobody cares about the award, nobody cares about what you say, because there is such a beautiful pair of breasts in front of you that hypnotize you.
I wish that had worked for the EU Search Awards, because I really struggled when I was doing Aleda's award, because everybody's drunk by that time. Everyone was drunk at the end of the awards for the personality. So yeah, there were lots of people not paying any attention to my tits.
Well, anyways, it's not all about tits, because that's the first level. You see, first level SEO is you get
is what you see on the surface.
Is what you see on the surface, yes. And if you can look at the source code, and you can look at the links, but now if you really want to know, if you really want to same than lovemaking, guys.
Yeah.
Well, a little practice helps.
Learn. Yeah, lots of practice helps. But also, look stuff up on the internet. See how things work.
Well,
you gotta understand how things work. If you don't know that getting links from a non-connected topicality site will hurt you, then you're going to go out and get links from a non-topically related site. Because you don't know.
You can't learn lovemaking by watching YouPorn or Pornhub.
No, you can't learn lovemaking by watching YouPorn. Is that even a site? It must be a site.
YouPorn, yeah, YouPorn is
RedTube,
a site.
Pornhub, X-Hamster.
You got to learn the French way.
X-Hamster is really interesting.
X-Hamster. the very interesting, because there was this event where we had to audit. It was a bridge between the adult world and the non-adult biz, and they will.
To a certain extent, everything's the adult biz, unless you're selling baby clothes, and even then, it's adult because you're selling to adults.
Well, yeah, adults who jerk off world, and so at midnight we would do with my friend Paul like a public talk during the day, the regular, and then at midnight they will pull us back on stage and challenge us. And X Hamster was, I think it was this one, but I doubt. I'm having doubts now. No,
X
it wasn't.
Hamster's the kink one.
No, it was not. It was not like it was.
Like, never learn about kink on X Hamster. Like, actually read some real books. Otherwise, you'll end up cutting off the circulation. And that's not a good thing.
So you think that by reading 50 Shades of Grey, you will
No,
learn?
dear God, no. Don't read 50 Shades of Grey for kink. Read things like the Mistress Manual and some of the like S&M 101, things like that, like proper books written by people in the kink world that also have an interest in safety. That's what you should read. If you watch X Hamster, you're liable to tear someone's asshole open or to cut off circulation and end up with gangrenous fingers or feet.
But that's clinical. Like I'm talking about Marquis de Sade, like a little bit of.
But if you're Marquis de Sade, then you still want to read S&M 101 or the Mistress Manual.
Okay.
Because you want to understand how to apply the pain properly.
So that's the clinical part. But there's always this SEO saying in French. I don't know if you do it in English, but we always say you have to give some love to your website. You know, the French people.
Absolutely.
So you have the clinical part. You have the mechanical part of
so that you understand how to do it.
How do you lube and what kind of lube?
Where is the perineum?
Yeah. Do you want to be careful not to buy like something with too much chemicals in it?
That's true too.
You know. So do you prefer mango or coconut flavor? Is it natural coconut flavor first of all? Then you have to. In fact,
some of those lubes do taste a little bit funny.
Where I was going is, okay, fine. You have all this information on the internet, even if, yes, you like for SEO, you have a lot of wrong information, meaning you won't learn on the most obvious websites. Same than SEO. Okay.
Yeah, it's like reading 50 Shades of Grey to learn about BDSM. Exactly. There's bad information in 50 Shades of Grey. There's dangerous information in 50 Shades of Grey and in the movie. So
I didn't read
like Neil Patel.
So
there's some wrong information in there and some downright dangerous information in there.
Some written words or video about the topic is not only wrong, but will either make you waste time and money or get you bad results.
Yeah.
And the same with lovemaking, where I feel like the missing part in our discussion and the final word is you need a mentor. You need a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you learn from?
It's true.
If you're a young guy, 16 years old, go find yourself a MILF. Yes.
A willing MILF, we'll just say.
You got a lot of those MILF who would love to pop your cherry for the first time. And you
are there? I didn't know.
Come on. How come?
I'm sure there are a lot of middle-aged women who are very interested in younger men.
Well, like, you're 18 years old. Like, you can. No, what do you say? 16? Yeah, you don't go to jail. For 16,
is that legal? Is
No,
16 legal?
well, depending on the country.
18 is probably safer. Yeah.
I think you in the US you get in trouble below like 14 years old or something. So,
Well, only in the deep south.
well, yeah, and some
Everywhere
some
else,
states,
I think it's higher.
yeah, some states you can probably get married at like 12 with 20 women if you are in the right community. Anyways, so yes,
Oh, yes,
who
there are bad
you
neighborhoods.
learning from? But the bad neighborhoods is about experience. It's also if you get the right advices from the
Yeah.
right people, they will tell you, they will help you out, and they will help you sort out what is potentially dangerous in your strategy. And
Exactly.
it could be very appealing. It could be something that beautiful, all the nice shapes, the tits, the ass, the blonde hair, everything. And then you pull down the strings and shit, it's a guy.
Like in The Matrix.
No.
Or RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, that's what I was going to like, shit, it's not a girl. Okay. Where do you go from there?
Well, you know, enjoy the evening anyway.
to a new experience
A
for
mouth
you?
is a mouth. It's, you know, why not? I don't see the problem with it. I think only guys are hung up on that. And really, not all guys are hung up on it. It's a societal pressure that we place on guys. So yeah, if you find the blonde hair and beautiful figure and beautiful breasts and beautiful body and beautiful mind, and you go back and you find that the lower section is not quite what you were expecting, play the hand you were dealt. If the cards are valuable enough, you'll still win.
No witnesses. No witnesses. Again.
Only if the witnesses know that it was a guy and you were being set up.
And if you got weaknesses and they participate, well, they there you go.
Yeah. Then it just becomes a gangbang, and then you get arrested nowadays. I wonder, you know, I was thinking, if you're a prostitute and you're going to someone's house, that's work. So it's totally legitimate under lockdown to be a prostitute and to go to someone's house, as long as that house has good safety and cleanliness measures in place, because workplace safety is important.
You know, in France, you need to write a paper explaining what you are doing, where you are going, for what.
That's easy. I am going to 124 Rue de la Compiègne for Monsieur whoever's weekly medically required relief.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday. You know, you gotta, yeah.
You've got to enjoy yourself, and you've got to enjoy SEO. We're talking about bad neighborhoods and bad links, and shitty links will get you in trouble, and irrelevant links will get you in trouble. And I've had websites where we've had to either ask the link to be moved to the correct website because it ranked in the wrong country, or we've had to disavow links that we paid for in the past that we couldn't get removed. But have fun. Like, it's not all seriousness. I've looked into, I didn't end up doing it, but I was looking into working with a models agency website, and they're really interesting. And if you have fun with it, what the hell? If these women are in control of their own lives and they're modeling, and that's their business, and they're able to control their own lives and they're not in trouble and they're not being pimped out, then hey, why not?
Well, I have a client like that, a marketplace in a country where it's legal. I've told you about it, but I'm not in contact with, so it's not fun.
You don't get to trial. No, you don't get like a free sample.
You're not even,
I definitely want to be like, can I get a free sample to see what the service is like?
And then you have very nice guys too, actually.
It could be a guy or a woman. I'm like neutral on the subject. What the hell? At the end of the day, it's me getting off, right? So it's all about me. So it only matters what I want.
But the problem, because there's always a problem, is
well, yeah,
people going into something without knowing what they're getting into. Okay.
Yes, that's very true.
Because this whole bad neighborhood thing, or it and the thing that, okay, a link, supposedly, if it's not doing you any good, it's not doing any bad. I said it very quickly, and you're right. It's not entirely true, because even if it's not penalizing you, manual penalty kind of thing, it will affect you in a negative way. What I call the smell of the SERP, or the smell of the backlinks. You need to be on point, everything, who is in relation to what and why. Meaning that if you are not in relation with the right people, you won't rank. It's still possible on most of the keywords, but the highly competitive keywords, I see all the backlinks align, the topical trust flow for Majestic, all the same smell. Or category, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, we're still always pursuing stuff if you look in the gambling SERPs, especially the casino SERPs, there's always going to be pushing the limit on bot links. And what some people will do is they'll find a really juicy link, and then they'll either lock that website in to an exclusive partnership deal, or if other people start to buy it, they'll have their link withdrawn, or they'll disavow it. And if you have a suite of sites and you suddenly disavow the same site, it doesn't necessarily, so Irish Wonder's done some testing, it doesn't necessarily send a bad signal to Google, but it's definitely sending a signal. So, you can screw people around just by knowing what you're doing, but you can screw yourself worse by not quite understanding what it is you're doing.
I get so many clients who wasted so many years and so much money because they went the agency way, what we talked about last time, and they got dragged on for years, maybe dozens of thousands of euros lost.
Absolutely.
And moreover, years lost.
Yeah.
Okay. So get a good person. It's so easy because they are very good salespeople. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
They sell way better than a good freelancer. The salesperson of an agency is way better at selling than a good SEO.
Yes.
That's the main problem. But you know what? Let's close the bad neighborhood because 33 minutes. Even if I wanted to go, I wanted to go further. Always
want to go further. It gets more and more exciting, and you want to go further and further. So be careful, because bad neighborhoods exist, and you want to always be careful out there, kids. Use protection.
But if you are not ready, have this image. I'll tell you off camera. I can't say it on camera. Sorry, guys. It's a story that it just popped up into my head. But it's going
to have to be like RuPaul's Drag Race, where we have an untucked lounge.
But maybe I told you the story.
With all the tea.
Bad neighborhood, stay away or not stay away. It depends what you do. You can be a bad neighborhood and embrace it. Okay, all the way.
Yeah.
Just don't get into something without knowing what you are getting into. That's where the danger is. Otherwise, who are we to judge what business you are doing? If you want to be a gangster, just be a real gangster. And if you want to steal people, steal money, people's money. Well, maybe
don't talk to us about helping you.
there's the law. That's what's stopping us. That's where we put our moral compass.
Yes.
Not the Google guidelines.
Absolutely. And I've turned down business in industries that I don't agree with. So always have a moral compass and don't be afraid to say no.
Did you do any like cleaning up of your reputation?
Oh, reputation? I've done a couple of reputations. I've done a lot more link cleanups.
Oh.
They can be a pain in the ass. Kerbu is really good at that, though. I love that tool. It saves me just thousands of hours of work.
I was subcontracting for an intelligence agency. Okay, that's like James Bond type of stuff. And I had to clean up some pretty crazy things. I quit the day it was $250,000, $250,000 offer to clean up a rabbi from Jerusalem who got caught for cocaine trafficking, but not like a pound, okay? Like
proper trafficking.
Like real. So I was like, no, that's just too much for me.
I would have moral and ethical issues with that.
I quit after that. I was like, this is going too far. It was fun for a little while.
I mean, if it's a legit rap too, if it's a legit rap, I don't feel comfortable with it. If it's a mistake, then I'm happy. But if it's a legit rap, you made your bed, it's time for you to lie in it, unless it's like 20 years old. But like, if we look at Charles Float, do we really want, do you really want that to be buried now?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's like why would you clean up like Harvey Weinstein in 20 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Would you?
It's possible, but you can hire someone to do it. He can hire someone to do it for sure.
Absolutely.
But that's another topic for another day.
Absolutely.
The cleaning up. Reputation
management.
Reputation management. Why don't we talk about reputation management next time?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Because we can go bad neighborhood too on that one.
Oh,
and I got a couple of good stories. About reputation management. Yeah.
I have so many stories about guys bending over. Oh, wait, no, this is not that.
Don't you feel also at parties? Well, we'll talk about it during reputation management. But I feel like now that the smartphone, that everybody has a fucking smartphone, like you can't.
Yeah, you can't just enjoy yourself at parties anymore.
You can't do what you used to be able to do back in the early 2000s. Such a shame.
Yeah.
And the 90s was there were already cameras, but nobody was.
There were camera phones, but they were, even when I've gone to BDSM clubs, the ubiquitous nature of cell phones means everybody has one, but they're not filming. However, at a party, everybody's filming.
Yeah, but back in the days, it wasn't, even if the phone had a camera, it was not a thing about like always filming.
That's true. It was odd until the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah,
it was odd like, to pull out your phone and start.
Anything happening now, it's like. If the cops.
Don't call the police or the fire department. Don't try to save the person being mauled by the dog. Pull out your phone and film it.
Yes. It's much better. There's even sad stories about photo reporter who rather let the guy die because they say, "Hey, not my war. I don't have to intervene, but that will make a good picture."
Yeah, that's not right. If it's an animal, that's the animal kingdom. If it's a human being, you have an obligation to try to at least help, not let them die.
Yeah, but journalists, they want the headline.
Pulitzer. They want their Pulitzer.
All right, babe.
So yes, bad neighborhoods exist, and it is not a myth.
It is not a myth, but you need sometimes to encounter it. You need to know evil to do good. You need to
It's true.
look into the devil's eyes to I forgot the end of the sentence of that one, but whatever. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so yeah, reputation management. What's up with that? Is that a myth? Can you really clean up anybody? Is it possible to get a brand new reputation on Google and remove all the nasty stuff? And how does that work? Ma chère Judith, until next time, thank you.
Ooh. Bye.
She does the sexy bye. Not so easy for her to do. Bye.
All I have to do is slow down. When I speak slowly, it sounds way sexier than when I'm my normal fast self, because when I'm talking fast, it just comes out and it's just really, really, really.
No, and not only you talk fast, and then you use words that like you need a dictionary to understand them.
Oedipus establishmentarianism was only a thing until the 15th century, and then the people.
Anyways, time to go. Thank you.
Bye.